Welcome back, everyone. We have got a really cool, crazy one-off custom from my buddy Alex over at Alex's Knife Box. I'm not even going to tell you to go subscribe and check out his channel because I've said that in all of my videos of knives that he has sent me, so you already know the drill. So let's just move on. This is a one-off custom made by a gentleman in the Ukraine. Kalashnikov knives, and I'll put a link to their Instagram down below. So it came with this belt sheath that can go horizontal or vertical, which is a kind of a cool design the way this is. You can put your belt through this way or this way. Has some loops in the front. I mean, it's not exactly how I would carry a knife, but I think the Europeans, and correct me if I'm wrong, they do a lot of knives in belt sheaths. And maybe in certain areas of the world there may be some legalities of having a knife quote unquote concealed in your pocket. So I don't know if that's part of why this has a sheath or not. But it's a very well done leather sheath, that works well. I'm assuming. I didn't put it on my belt. It's good. The sheath is going to work better than the pocket clip. We'll just get that out of the way right now. This pocket clip is so thick and so rigid that there's no spring to it. It doesn't spring. It's just a solid piece of titanium. So getting it in and out of your pocket sucks. Just going to say it. Just going to throw it out there. And then while we're on the negative pieces, we'll get into some awesome stuff. There's a really hard edge here on the clip. Really hard edge here on the back spacer. And, it's kind of... This is not a front flipper, but that's kind of not a very comfortable edge there either. All right, so there. We got that negatives out of the way. Okay? There's one more, but we'll get to that. Let's dive into the specs and then do a close-up on it. 4.5 inches closed, 8 1/4 overall. 3.75 inch blade, 3.59 cutting edge. This is a Sanmai CPM 10V steel. I was not familiar with 10V until getting this knife. Honestly, I'm not a steel snob, so I don't really care too much about steel. But when I heard this was 10V, I had to go look it up. And without getting all technical, it is a tool steel with a lot of vanadium that resists wear better than a lot of other steels. And I'll put a link down below to kind of a knife steel nerd website. It's literally Knife Steel Nerd or Knife Steel Nerds. I don't remember now. But where he talks about the history of CPM 10V and all of that, okay? It's a steel that was invented, designed, whatnot, in 1978. So, not been that long, but it's has a very high wear tolerance. And yes, I don't think this is part of the design because there's no jimping here, but it does act as a front flipper. That's not how I would deploy this knife. The thumb stud works awesome. That's how I would deploy this knife. Okay, so the blade thickness is 0.125, overall thickness of 0.560, weighs in at 4 ounces, super lightweight, and it runs on washers, I am 99% sure. I totally forgot to ask Alex that, but from what it looks like, when I kind of look in there close, it looks like it's washers of some sort. So the etching on the blade is very cool. It looks great. Alex isn't super happy with it. Alex is the original owner, and Alex has a couple of qualms, very similar to the ones I pointed out, that the maker said he'll fix. He'll refinish the blade. He'll fix the couple of hot spots and things like that. No problem. Just got to ship it back to him in the Ukraine. So it's carbon fiber scales over titanium liners with a carbon fiber backspacer, which is pretty cool. I love that. And a carbon fiber spacer for the clip, which is pretty cool also. It does have a lanyard hole, I guess, if you're going to use dental floss for a lanyard. But, okay. They could have just left that solid and kind of rounded this off, contoured this a little bit, because it is a little bit of a hot spot in your hand when you're deploying this knife. So it's a nice liner lock. Not a lot of markings on the blade. There's a logo there and a logo here because this was a collaboration of sorts. This has also now come into a production version from Real Steel, and that production version is called the Rokot, R-O-K-O-T. If you're interested in that, I don't know. But all in all, this is a really nice knife. I love the aesthetics of it, for sure. I don't love some of the hot spots. It feels okay in the hand. Not great. That clip is kind of, if you were to use this hard, you would feel the clip over time. But if you're doing most mundane tasks, let's be honest here. We are not buying this to be a hard use outdoor break down boxes all day long in a warehouse, chop down tree. You're not using this as a hardcore outdoor knife. So the hot spots that you may experience under hard use are irrelevant to probably, I'm going to go out on a limb and say 95% of my viewers. We're opening Amazon boxes. We're opening boxes from other retailers that have knives inside because we bought another knife or we bought a watch. And so we're using it to open that sort of thing. Okay. We're boxing up a knife to ship out to somebody and we're cutting the packing tape as we box it up. That's what we're using. And for that, this works fantastically. So sometimes we can't get hung up on some little hotspots because we're not using the knives in a hard use capacity. Now, there's going to be 5% of you that are. And for that, you're going to buy the right knife for the right thing. If you're an outdoorsy person and you're doing bushcraft stuff, here it is next to the Sharpie, you're going to buy a fixed blade that's going to handle that sort of abuse. Use, not abuse. Here's next to the Spyderco Delica. So you're going to buy a knife for its more intended purpose, so to speak. And if you want a big overbuilt knife, you may buy something like the Midgard's Messer, Bomber, which is about the same size. This is going to do you better in more of a hard use capacity all day long. This will serve you better than this custom. Just because it feels better in your hand, it's got more mass to it, and it's just going to do the job better. Here it is next to the Hellraiser P series from Red Horse Knife Works. Roughly the same size. Carbon fiber, but slightly different carbon fiber, which I love. Y'all know I love carbon fiber. I can't get enough of it. So, yeah, I think this is a very cool knife. I would absolutely, if I was Alex, send it back to them and make a list of the things he doesn't like that he wants redone, and they will absolutely redo those things. And if there's a charge for a couple of extra things that Alex was telling me that he could do this and do that for a couple of bucks, you know, when you have a custom one-off knife, if you get it from the maker and it's not the way you want it, you should work with the maker to make it right. And that'll be another video. We'll do a video on that because I've gotten some custom knives and I've been happy, and there's been some things I'd like to change maybe. But I haven't sent them back. I haven't redone them. But you can. And there's certain things that you can't fix. I mean, sometimes you can't say, I want, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I want 8, valleys and peaks and mountains on the blade. You can't get into those kind of the specifics. And if you're anodizing it and you're heat treating it, or you're doing kind of a custom one-off finish, sometimes you can't predict what certain things are going to do as far as colors and the way the grind lines are going to be. Some things you just can't predict. It just is what it is, right? But as far as some of these hot spots and things like that, absolutely they can take care of those things. So absolutely you should reach out to a maker and say, I am not happy with it because of this, this, and this. What can we do? And maybe you can get things adjusted, maybe you can't. But it's worth talking to the maker if you're in that position. So there you go. I've rambled enough. This is a really cool knife. I love doing full custom knife reviews because it's cool to me to see what people can come up with and the materials that they can use. So thanks again, Alex. I truly appreciate it. And thank you all for watching. Have a fantastic day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, guys.